Coming up on College Crossfire, will Ash flame out this season for the Longhorns? The NBA playoffs are upon us, and we've only got 2 shows left this semester. All this and more coming up.
What the hell's the rest of it?
Who's the rest of it?
Taylor's not even here to defend himself.
I'm so excited.
Good evening and welcome into another episode of College Crossfire. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Barker. Let's begin tonight's show by introducing our panel. To my right, we have Harry Hoffman, the defending champion, going for back-to-back.
Oh, it's great to be back. Looking forward to it.
All righty, Cooper Irwin. Cooper, what's up?
Good to be on.
All righty, and Big Reese Miller. How are you, boss?
How you doing, Jeff? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, that was quick, man. That was quick
Yeah,
there.
appreciate that.
Had to get it all in. Well, guys, we're always looking to talk some sort of football or incorporate a little bit of football talk into our shows during the spring semester. And in honor of this weekend's annual Orange and White scrimmage, we're going to spend an entire block of the show talking Texas football. Saturday's scrimmage will be the first time that fans get to see the team in action since Charlie Strong took over as head coach. Strong inherited some quality talent to work with when he took the job. So what's the biggest strength and the biggest weakness of the team heading into the spring game? Hoff.
I think the strength is actually a weakness turned into a strength. And I'm an emotional guy, so I love the emotion that Charlie Strong brings. And so that strength is, I think, going to be the toughness, the fire, the emotion that this team has, the drive to win each and every game and come out and compete at each and every practice. And then the weakness, I'll go to a position that we all know is probably one of the most important in all of sports across the board, and that's quarterback position. We just don't know. David Ash.
We'll talk about that next.
Yeah, we will. But I think you got to have a great quarterback and a great coach to win in college football and the NFL. And so they're lacking at the quarterback position right now.
All right, so your biggest strength is just the overall change in mentality?
Because they have the talent, I think.
All righty. Cooper?
I'd say the biggest strength is the running game. You got 3 good running backs. Jonathan Gray, who's a young running back. He's going to come back from the injury. He should grow into even bigger role this year. Malcolm Brown filled in excellently for once Gray went out last year. And then you got Overstreet. That's a 3-headed monster that I think is going to really help the offense. And I'd also say the weakness is quarterback. It's up in the air now with Ash's injury.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it, but I'm just saying, the quarterback, it's up in the air. You have to have a quarterback to win. There's no way around it. So.
Okay. Reese?
To me, the biggest strength of this team is absolutely the defensive line. I think it was one of the biggest strengths leading the Big 12s in sacks a year ago. And you bring back Cedric Reed, who I think will absolutely be maybe the best Big 12 defensive player in the league this year. You also bring back Malcolm Brown, DeSean Jackson, Shiro Davis coming in. I think he'll have a big impact. When I go to weaknesses, I maybe go to the offensive line, actually. A lot of questions, a real big lack of depth. Kent Perkins has been injured. Desmond Harrison has a lot of questions. Kennedy Estelle, a lot of questions about his toughness. And they lost 4 of their 5 starters from a season ago. So I think besides the quarterback position, which is obviously the most glaring answer, I think offensive line is right there behind it.
Love that. You got to dominate the line of scrimmage.
That's right.
Love that, Reese.
In between
All right, well,
trenches.
you have the backing of the defending champion here. So, Reese, I think I'm going to give you the point to
All right,
start
I'll
us
take
off
that.
here. And as I'm sure everyone has heard by now, the Horns took another huge hit at the end of last week when they lost David Ash for the rest of spring practice. Ash suffered a Jones fracture in his left foot, but will most likely be able to return to practice sometime this summer. This opens the door for a number of things to happen now. So sophomore quarterback Tyrone Swoops becomes the only healthy scholarship quarterback on the roster at the moment, and it's looking more likely than ever that former USC quarterback Max Wittick will decide to transfer to the 40 acres. Strong has also come out and said that incoming freshman Gerard Hurd will have a chance at the starting job if he can effectively learn the system on time. So a lot up in the air here. How do you guys predict this quarterback situation working out? Cooper?
I think Ash's injury really hurts. I think it was projecting like he was definitely going to be the starting quarterback next year. But now I kind of see that Swoops will get the first opportunity if he can show that he can actually throw down the field with accuracy. He can always run the ball, but in the few snaps he got last year, he did not prove to be accurate at all. So if he can show that accuracy, I think he'll be the starter. And I think he will be the starter to start the year, but I think the quarterback of the future is Hurd. But I think he just has to learn the playbook first.
Yeah, I mean, kind of interesting that he didn't decide to come in, with such a quarterback controversy. They didn't decide to come in for, in an early enrollee or something like that. Reese?
The perfect scenario for this team would be if David Ash is healthy for all every game of the season, but he won't be. He's proven that with his broken ribs against TCU a couple years ago, the concussion last year, and now he can't even make it through a non-contact injury in spring practice without getting injured. So you cannot depend on him, although he is the best option at quarterback position. I think he makes it maybe 3 or 4 games before we see an early exit in the season. That's my honest opinion. I think this team, this current staff, learned from last year's staff, and they know the importance of redshirting Gerard Hurd, the freshman, and really the future of the program. Tyrone Swoop's also not where he needs to be just yet, especially with accuracy, with his reads. And
we haven't even seen him throw the ball.
Mental
really.
capacity. Well,
I just
I mean, he probably got it. He probably played a total of 2 quarters.
If Mike Davis doesn't drop that pass.
Yeah, exactly. We're all saying everyone's putting him at a D for accuracy right now. He's up to a B if Davis pulls that one in.
He looked really erratic, and I think the staff not getting that redshirt, I think they would love to have another year to really develop this guy with Sean Watson. So I think that leaves with Max Whittick, who I really think will transfer. I think the situation really is left up to him after David Ash goes out, because I think he will. Not necessarily because Max Whittick is this guy that'll light you up, but it gives Gerard Hurd another year to develop, and Tyrone Swoops, who has the body, has the really everything you'd want size-wise, and he's got a rocket arm strength. It's about the mental part of the game for Tyrone Swoops and really gaining those reads and gaining the confidence in that offense that Charlie Strong just recently talked about. So
you're saying that Whittick will come in?
I think Whittick will come in
the job right away?
Almost by default, because I think Tyrone Swoops and Gerard Hurd, it's necessary for this team, for its future after this season, and for those guys to get another year of developing.
Okay, Hoff.
All right, I think it is going to be Tyrone Swoops. People forget he did enroll early, so he's been around this program. Obviously, David has been around longer, but he's the next in line, and he's a physical specimen that just doesn't come around often. And if you can coach him up where his accuracy maybe even gets to a B-, I think that's good enough to win this job. You have so many athletes around you. You can run tons of different options. And if he can learn how to really throw the ball downfield, his wide receivers are good enough that they can go and make plays. So I think he takes the job. I think that confidence will get there. I think his coaching staff does have that confidence in him, and that they can coach him up to a quarterback that can really lead this team. And like they mentioned, I don't think David Ash will last long at all. I do like Max, but coming in, not going to have that much time. I just don't know if he wins that starting job. I don't know if he's talented enough that not knowing the system still gets him that job.
With Tyrone, he's a guy out of a 2A school in White Ride. Really didn't ever have to actually throw, so he was just able to basically physically dominate people as a 5-star and maybe the #1 quarterback in the class, dual threat, and then moved down to a 4-star and really dropped off the table. And so the question's really about his development in this offense, and we'll see if Sean Watson and Charlie Strong and the rest of the staff can really develop that. And if so, you might have yourself one heck of a player.
Yeah, I'm going to give Hoff the point on this one. Before we go to break now, guys, give me a few young players that you think we might see break out this weekend. Reese.
I'm going to go with cornerback Antoine Davis. Watch out for this kid. The secondary is another question. There's not a whole lot of depth there behind Duke Thomas and Quandre Diggs. I think Antoine Davis, a freshman last year, didn't play a whole lot. He was the 5th corner coming out of last year's U.S. All-American game, Under Armour All-American game. And I think this is a guy that really has a chance to shore up that secondary, play opposite of Duke Thomas, and move Quandre Diggs back to the nickel position and really shore up this defense for the Texas Longhorns.
All righty, Hoff.
I really, really like Marcus Johnson at the wide receiver position. Now that Mike Davis is gone, I think it's his turn in line to become that #1 wide receiver. We've seen numerous great catches out of him, especially in that Oklahoma game, that crazy touchdown. I think his ceiling's really high, and if they can find somebody to get him that ball, I think he could have a really great breakout season.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the problem. Texas, so many young receivers.
I feel like that's
a lot of talent.
They don't have a quarterback to get the ball to him.
Yeah. All right, Cooper, who you got?
I'm going to say Tyrone, because this is his chance now that Ash is out. The coaches are instilling the confidence in him. He's going to have every opportunity to succeed. And last year, when he came in games, it was late in the 4th quarter blowouts. All he did was really hand off the ball to the running back. So we're going to see if he can throw downfield in this game. And I think he will prove some people wrong and show that he can show the arm strength.
All right, Cooper's taking the point. I mean, you were taking it too, Reese. You were the one really ripping on him. But I just think maybe he won't end up being that good. But we just haven't really seen too much. He hasn't gotten too many opportunities to throw or anything like that.
I would just like to see him develop a little bit more and have that time, because he didn't have the full time to get that red shirt and get that extra year of eligibility. That's what I'd like to see.
And that's what spring football's for, my friend.
There we go. We'll see this Saturday.
Well, after the break, we'll recap the Masters and discuss the current state of professional golf. All this and much more coming up on College Crossfire. We're back here on College Crossfire. Thanks for sticking with us. All tied up at 1 after the first round. On last week's show, we talked a little bit about how a Tigerless Masters weekend might negatively affect the excitement of the tournament, and it did just that. Even though the fans that did tune in got to see Bubba Watson beat lifetime Longhorn Jordan Spieth and Jonas Blix by 3 strokes and claim his second green jacket in the last 3 years, there was a record low viewership for the tournament. Ratings fell 24% compared to last year's final round, and only 7.8% of American households tuned in on Sunday afternoon. The lowest percentage since 2004. After seeing how this year's tournament played out, guys, how bad of a place do you think golf is in right now? Hoff.
This is tough for me. I don't think it's in a terrible place because golf does have some really amazing players. I think Tiger's absence hurt, but really that back nine on Sunday, there was nothing going on. It was kind of like Bubba just cruising till the end. And we've seen tournaments where Tiger hasn't been in contention, but there are so many guys within 1 or 2 shots of each other that every shot, every hole is really fun to watch. We just didn't have that. So I think that attributed to the low rating just as much as Tiger's absence.
Well, also no Phil, no Rory.
Right.
You know,
So
gotta have one of your
those guys
cover boys in there.
gotta perform, but I don't think golf is far off. I mean, Tiger will get healthy. Who knows when he'll be back? But as long as there's people in contention all bunched up on Sunday, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, and golf is always one Tiger major away from from being exciting again. You know. Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lack of drama definitely hurt on Sunday, the ratings. But, I mean, also the lack of star power. You know, we're missing Tiger, Phil, probably the 2 most well-known golfers, and also Rory, who's the up-and-comer. I think golf just needs to get a few more stars to rise up because Tiger and Phil are getting older. So once they're out, it might go through a little lull. They need to start marketing some of their younger players, like get Rory more well-known.
He needs to win some tournaments.
He does need to win some tournaments. They need that next guy to come in and step in and start challenging Tiger and Phil because they're on their way out. So, yeah.
Okay, Reese.
Well, what golf needs is another superstar like Tiger Woods. I mean, when he really came on the scene, it was much must-watch television. And this Sunday, it really wasn't. You had the young kid in Jordan Spieth who made a great run, but really no superstar names, no young guys really coming up with no Rory, no Phil, no Tiger. It's easy to see why so many numbers really dropped off the table because you have your hardcore golf fans and then just the casual golf fan that want to see the great battles with their favorites, Phil and Tiger. And so without that next superstar that I don't see coming up for the moment now, and I don't think it's Jordan Spieth because he's not really a huge charismatic guy, doesn't really have this big larger-than-life personality. I think until golf gets that next guy with Tiger struggles, with Phil struggles recently, and when those guys are on their way out, I think golf is in a rough place.
You know, you mentioned Spieth not necessarily having that charisma that Tiger has, but don't you guys think there's something a little bit Tiger-esque about the feel of that when he was tied at 5 under and he holed out from the bunker?
And then when he dropped the club, that's when I was like, oh, we got to lose Tiger.
Yeah, he talks to himself exactly like Tiger.
He's a little bit of a hothead, which people don't realize, but like you mentioned, Tiger and Phil, when they're gone, I'd really like to see Jordan Spieth, Rory, and Ricky Fowler.
You got to get another
go after
rivalry.
each
Well, because until then, the casual golf fan that occasionally tunes in maybe on a Sunday isn't going to do any more than that if another superstar that they become attached to is in there. Then you just have your hardcore golf fans like yourself who are going to watch that every single day.
True, and Spieth is a little bit more exciting to watch. You know, when you're in Texas, are obviously going to Texas like we all are.
Right.
I'm going to give everyone a point here. You know, good discussion, pretty similar points. So, now guys, tonight marks the last day of the NBA regular season, and the playoffs officially tip off Saturday morning. For this question, we're going to focus on the 3 Texas teams in the playoffs: the Spurs, Rockets, and Mavs. The Spurs are, surprise, surprise, the #1 seed in the West, while the Rockets will have the 4 seed, and the outcome of the Mavs-Grizzlies game in progress right now will decide whether or not they get the 7 or the 8 seed. How do you guys think each of these Texas teams will fare in this season's playoffs? Cooper.
Let's see. If the Mavs can win right now in overtime and get the 7 seed, I think they will give the Thunder a good series, maybe 6, maybe take it to 7 games. They match up pretty well. Thunder don't have anybody that can guard Dirk right now, and they're 2-2 against the Thunder this year. So if they get the Spurs as the 8th seed, Mavericks do not match up well with the Spurs. They're out in the first round. As far as the Spurs go, they always have the potential to make the playoffs, but it just depends. They're old. They've just played all the finals. They've had a lot of games on their legs, so it depends. Are they going to wear down is the question. And I think the Thunder's athleticism, if they reach the conference finals with the Thunder, will pose a bad matchup for him. And I see them going out thin. As far as the Rockets, you got Harden, Howard, Parsons. That team is stacked on offense, not so good on defense. I think the Portland Rockets series is one of the best of the first round. It'll be really exciting. Great offensive matchup. I see that one going to 7. So
Okay, so who do you have in your Western Conference Finals?
probably, I'm gonna say Thunder Warriors.
Thunder Warriors? Wow.
Thunder Warriors.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Warriors.
Power moves. All right, Reese.
When I look at the Mavericks situation in the postseason, it's almost like would you rather be hung or shot when you're playing the Thunder and the Spurs. I really don't see much of a chance either way here, honestly. I mean, they've had a great run to get where they are currently, and they're going to be another postseason team, 13 out of the last 14 years. But either way, I don't see them advancing past the first round, maybe 5 or 6 games. They do match up slightly better with the Thunder, but I mean, either way, honestly. I had a lot of confidence in the Rockets there for a while, but the injury to Patrick Beverley, I think, really hurts their perimeter defense, especially against teams like the Thunder, like the Clippers, who can shoot lights out. Then there's the Spurs. You know, every year we look about midseason or we get to the late season, we're like, you know, talking about the Heat and the Pacers and all these really superstar teams, and we forget to talk about the Spurs, who just kill you with efficiency every single year. And right now, they have by far the best record in the NBA. And so I think easily they can make another run at the NBA Finals. I would take, if I was put a gun to my head, I'll take the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Getting violent here.
But yeah, we are a little violent. But I'll take the Thunder or the Clippers over the Spurs. But I think they by far have the best chance at making a run here in the postseason.
Okay, so real quick before we go to Harry, your Western Conference Finals.
Western Conference Finals, man. How do we match up? Throw me Clippers and Thunder in there. Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah, I think the Mavs get swept in the first round, no matter who they play.
I
I think the Rockets are out in the first round as well. I think they lose to Portland.
First round.
Yeah, and then
Portland struggled, though. They started hot. They struggled.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the let's score 130 points and try to beat them. In the playoffs, that kind of settles down. Everybody's going to be looking at James Harden now as a star. I don't know if guys like Jeremy Lin and Chandler Parsons, I don't know if they're ready to get over that hump. I like the Spurs going back to the NBA Finals. I think Popovich has them ready to go, and I think they got more fire in them than they do last year after that loss. So the Thunder still concern me with Russell Westbrook hogging the ball a lot. So I'll take the seasoned veterans in the West.
All right, I like that. Spurs, the best team nobody ever talks about. Never get any respect, and they always find themselves in the finals, so I'm going to give Hoff the point on this one. Now, hopping across the pond now, guys. The Premier League is winding down its season. Just 4 games stand between Liverpool and winning the league for the first time since 1990. The squad, undefeated in 2014, is captained by hometown hero Steven Gerrard. To name just a few of his accomplishments since making his debut for the Reds in 1998, Gerrard claims 1 Champions League, 2 FA Cups, 1 UEFA Cup, and the captain's armband for both Liverpool and England's national team. But he has yet to win the league. If Liverpool can't pull it off, will it be a footnote to his career as something that he never won? But now on an even broader scale, guys, how do we define the greatness of an athlete that participates in a team sport? Reese, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, the question of will it be a footnote on his career, I think unfortunately it will be, even though he's an outstanding player for his entire career. I think it will be a footnote. Unfortunately, we look at guys like Dan Marino, like Barry Sanders, 2 of the greatest players to ever play their position. And it's always the conversation of, well, they're so great, but they never got that title. They never have that ring. So I think when you define greatness, there's a couple criteria. I think it's a little bit of a larger-than-life figure of what kind of impact they make on their team as individuals and as team players. And I think there's a lot that goes into it, just what they do in the community, what type of impact they have on their total team. If they do win a championship, I think is a main part of it. But individually, you look at great performance like Barry Sanders, who didn't have a whole lot around him. I think you still have to throw him in the conversation of the greatest running back ever, just because of how much talent he had and how much potential he had. You know, if you throw him on another team like the Cowboys of the 90s with an unbelievable offensive line, what kind of numbers he would have had.
Okay. All right, Hoff.
All right, yeah, I think it would be a footnote, even though he's been the heart and soul of this team for his entire career. It's just in every sport you tried to get that championship, you get a little more slack. In team sports, you know, in golf and tennis, like you better win a major, otherwise your career means nothing really. So I think for him, this would be huge for him and for Liverpool if they were able to close it out and win the Premier League. And I'm rooting for him as hard as I possibly can. So yeah, what was the second part of that question?
Oh,
long
it's just
question.
how do we define greatness for athletes that participate in team sports?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think championships is how we define them. Even Tom Brady, Peyton Manning couldn't get that second Super Bowl. I think that was a huge knock on his career, getting blown out. A-Rod for the longest time couldn't get over the hump. Got put on a good team, won. Same with LeBron. So you need great players around you to win, but it's definitely something that you need.
All righty, Cooper finishes off.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair, but you are judged on your championships. It's not fair, though, because you take a player like, say, Dirk. He's played with the best players he played with. There's like Jason Terry and Josh Howard, and he couldn't win the championship. But everybody criticizes him, says he's the soft guy. He doesn't come through in the clutch. Then he goes through, defeats Kobe, Durant, LeBron, Wade.
Basically wins it on his own.
And then that's the only way he could gain respect throughout the league. Completely changed the perception of his career. And it's the same way we don't look at Barkley or Malone or Stockton the same, even though they played in the Michael Jordan era. That's not their fault that they had to play against the best player, arguably in basketball. But we don't look at their career in the same light, and I don't think it's fair, but it's just the reality.
Definitely. Well, Cooper, I'm going to give you the point on this one. We're going to take our final break for the night. Coming up next, we'll decide on a winner between these three in our rapid fire round. Don't go anywhere. It's College Crossfire. Thanks for sticking with us tonight on College Crossfire. Let's get one last score update before we get into rapid fire. We got Harry, the defending champion, with 3. Cooper with 3 as well, looking for his first College Crossfire win. And Reese Miller, another seasoned veteran, along with Harry Hoffman here, with 2. But everything is worth 2 points now, guys. So for our first rapid fire of the night, we're going to play a new game I like to call What's Worse. So we have 2 videos tonight that I want to tell you, or I want you guys to tell me which one you think is worse and why. We're going to play them back to back, but the first video is of Toronto Mayor Rob Ford making a celebrity appearance at a youth soccer camp. And then after that, we have a video from Shaq, pretty interesting, involving a guitar and the classic song Jesse's Girl. Let's see him.
You gonna go in there? You gonna go in there? All right. Sorry.
Barry around here as he entertains the crew with his guitar when he's not on the air.
We only want to hear classics like, I wish I had Jesse's Girl. Get it? Classics. Classics, not that crap. I wish I had Jesse's Girl. Da-na-na-na.
All right, guys. So, pretty funny videos there. What's worse, Rob Ford just blasting it past the 5-year-old kid at the youth soccer camp, or Shaq just ruining Brent Barry's day, just smashing the guitar? What's worse?
I don't know. I thought that PK was really good form back of the net.
It's a 5-year-old kid, man.
Hey, whatever you got to do to put it in the back of the net. So I think Shaq destroying the guitar, I thought that was pretty bad.
Alrighty.
I mean, you gotta love Rob Ford when he's not doing drugs or picking up hookers, just blowing it by a little 5-year-old, showing no mercy.
Yeah, I'm going to Rob Ford, man. That dude's got a cannon. He's got a cannon of a leg. I mean, he was firing shots in there, and maybe put him in a clutch situation up there.
Hey, come be UT's kicker.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know. And Shaq maybe have a future career doing some extra things for the TNT broadcast. So,
all right,
I'm going with Rob Ford.
I'm gonna give the answer, or the 2 points to Cooper's answer here. Now, guys, earlier this afternoon, Laker guard Kobe Bryant took to Twitter to express his frustration about this season. The tweet reads, expletive, season, flush it, forget it, hashtag amnesia, next season will be epic, hashtag blackout, hashtag bust fam. So after a back-to-back injury-plagued seasons, how many more years will we see Kobe playing at an elite level, guys?
Man, I'm a huge Kobe fan. I'll give him 2 years. Nobody works harder than he does to come back from an injury. I think he's got more fire than ever. They're going to get some guys in LA. I think he's got 2 runs left in him.
2 more years?
Yep.
All right.
You gotta love all those hashtags first off, but I'd
Yeah, I
say
couldn't even read 'em all.
Yeah, I know. Good gracious. I mean, but he might have one more year left, and I think he's going to be injured the rest of the time. I think he stole money from the Lakers. $23 million.
Super, you were doing so well, man.
$23 million. They're not going to be able to sign any.
$24 million.
$24 million. They're not going to be able to sign any top tier. They're not going to have the cap room to compete. He's going to finish out his career. He's going to compete for the scoring record, but they're not going to be competitive in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and that means upper level tickets are still going to be $400 a ticket. They still got to pay that guy.
That hurts, man. I'm the eternal optimist here. I think he's got 3 to 4 years left. Like Harry said, worked so hard to get back. One of the greatest players ever, I think. And I think if they can get some talent around him, they'll have a great pick this year. If they can capitalize on that, maybe get a few players in free agency, maybe a couple more runs. I think 3 to 4 years, as long as he doesn't fall back to another injury bug.
Alrighty, Reese is getting the points there for the optimism. Now, guys, the Redskins' newest receiver, DeSean Jackson, took to a wild Miami club scene to celebrate his new $24 million contract. Take a look at this picture from DeSean's night out where he dropped $7K for the last question of the night. How would you guys celebrate if you just signed a new multi-million-dollar contract? Real quick answer here. Anybody jump in?
I'm taking you out to dinner first off. You and me are going to buy a new car. We're going to roll in some Ferraris down there off Lamar, and we'll go wherever you want, Jeff.
All right, I like that answer. Cooper, what do you got? Cooper, Harry?
Let's see.
I'm taking my first trip to the NBA Finals, and hopefully a Game 7.
It's kind of boring, man. It's kind of boring. I was hoping for a little sunrise.
Maybe hit up 6.
You know, as a matter of fact, Jeff, we can buy a yacht. We'll go on a yacht on Lake Austin.
That is tough to argue.
This is why we don't pay contracts.
Cooper, what do you got? You got anything?
Maybe a night on 6th Street.
A night on 6?
Night on 6, yeah.
Alrighty,
what are you gonna do? You're gonna have
buy out the club.
I'm gonna have to give Reese some points here for buying me a Ferrari and a yacht, all in the same day. So, guys, Reese, I'm sorry we don't have FaceTime, but you'll probably be back next week, I'm sure. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. As always, you can catch us right here every Wednesday night at the same time. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter as well, @CollegeXFire, for the biggest sports news on the 40 acres. You can tune in to College Press Box Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. For everyone in Master Control, the studio, the panel, and myself, good night, and we'll see y'all next week.